Well, thanks so much for tuning in to the Trade Setup with me, Niraj Shah, on the last day of calendar year 2024. And what a year it's been, really. I mean, geopolitics, politics, elections, 76 countries went to elections, if I'm not wrong. 76 democracies went to election. So it was crazy the year, really, from a political and geopolitical perspective, as well as from a markets perspective. Varied and volatile for sure. But here's an interesting trivia to start today's trade setup. Did you know that India now has 64 grandmasters? I'm talking about chess, according to the global chess body, up from just 2 in 1994. It takes some doing to become a grandmaster. Remember, D. Gukesh has brought it firmly in vogue again, but from 2 in 1994 to 64. And it was 36 in 2014, it's now at 64. Contrast, China has 48. India has now eclipsed China in terms of the number of grandmasters. Of course, I think Russia and US are higher, but I think chess has become a mainstream sport, if you will, in some sense, in India, and quite stunning, really, the proliferation of chess prodigies in the country. I mean, hopefully, we have many more such triumphs at the global scale, does India. So it's very interesting. I thought the numbers and thought should bring it up for you. Okay, let's take stock of what's happening around the world. So the US markets ended lower, the futures marginally in the red. Natural gas surged as much as 20% on expectations or colder than usual month of January. I mean, there is apparently going to be a severely biting cold wave in the US. And therefore, natural gas prices really surge. It doesn't have as much of an impact on our markets per se, natural gas, but not as much of a use as in the Western countries. But because of that, oil prices also firmed up a little bit. Bitcoin prices are now down 15% from recent highs. It now trades below 93,000. It was 106,000 just a few days ago, or a couple of weeks ago. And US Treasury has said it was breached by Chinese-backed hacker. Now, this geopolitical tension between US and China likely to continue as well. So this was the other interesting piece of development that stood out for me, really. Okay, let's take stock of what happened to the US markets. Like I said, a sea of red. Futures were marginally in the red too. Hang Seng should be, okay, flattish. This is amongst the few Asian markets open today. Our markets, 148 points lower. Remember, we had a bit of a recovery in trade yesterday, in the latter half of trade. But like we've been saying for the last 2 days, that we very likely will have a sideways to a negative reaction continuing. And I think that is, I think the downward bias will persist until an event triggers a reversal. Now, is that event good earnings by the IT companies? Is that event global in nature? Is that event some rate action or murmurs of that ahead of policy? Who knows? I mean, but it has to take an event to just get us out of this downward spiral. For now, it doesn't look like it's going to change course in a hurry. Or, of course, unless really fund flows change shape and form, and that might help. But like we said, specific pockets need to be focused on. So I think the Adani Group stocks were a pocket that you definitely want to see, because it found some serious momentum yesterday. Enterprises were up 7.5% because of the non-core stake sale that they announced in Adani Wilmar. But the others too, Adani Total Gas and a few others, really perked up in trade. I think you want to watch out for this bucket. And I think the other thing you want to keep in mind, that primary market action was just so active and brisk the last few days, weeks, months. Everybody believed that well-subscribed IPOs can be bought on open as well and make money. And yes, it worked to an extent, and it worked for a lot of companies. But now even high quality companies are seeing a bit of a tick back post that. Now just look at what happened to DAM Capital yesterday. Look at what happened to MTA Machinery yesterday. And these are high quality names, right, per se, very heavily subscribed. MTA was down 5%. This is for a business or a company whose IPO was subscribed some 175 times or thereabouts. So suffice to say, it is not a blanket go out and buy a company post-listing if it was subscribed well, because things may change. DAM Capital is as blue chip in terms of investment banks as they come, right? Only pure play investment banking company out there. In the long term, these prices might look a pale shadow of what they might be. But the point being, if you're a trader, just going out and buying without knowing anything about the company might not necessarily turn out to be good trade from a day trading perspective. So bear that in mind. Speaking of that, listing today, Unimac Aerospace, I think very interesting. I think probably should subscribe at a premium or list at a premium because it was subscribed 175 times. More importantly, look at the QIB book, 317 times. Employee quota subscribed 97 times. So clearly, a lot of appetite from people who know about the company and otherwise. Should list at a premium. Just be careful, if it trades at exorbitant valuations, you might want to rethink about buying it at open price. If it really lists at a premium, maybe there are better times to buy it. So bear that in mind. Stocks to watch today. Media reports suggest that the Morbi Ceramic cluster and that association has proposed a 1-month shutdown. And why is this? Because to offset the impact of the weak environment. Now, and remember, it's a proposal. The final decision on the proposal will be taken on Jan 5th. Now, this is as per media reports, by the way. But bear in mind that if this were to happen, right, Gujarat Gas supplies in a big way to that cluster, and 1 month of no supplies or virtually zero supplies or very low supplies could really impact this stock. So while this is still just a proposal, because it's come in the realms of media, I would suspect that Gujarat Gas could see a bit of a slam dunk today. So watch out for this one. Watch out for Ease My Trip as well. As per Bloomberg notes, promoter Nishant Pitti is likely to sell up to 14.21% stake and floor price at 15.6, so lower than the current market price. Nishant Pitti holds about 14.21 stake in the company on last count. So do keep an eye out for this one. Definitely will react negatively today. Hindalco may react positively. Meenakshi Coal Mines in Odisha allocated to the company. The block is fully explored with peak rated capacity of 12 MTPA and geological reserves of 285.23 million tons. So watch out. May see a bit of a positive reaction. Who knows? RVNL, a small order win. L1 for a central railway project worth 137 crores. Very likely could see a small positive reaction. Not a very large order, but could see a reaction. Speaking of large orders, what got a large order win was Mazgon Dock signed a contract worth 1990 crores with MOD for air independent propulsion plug. So you might want to watch out for this one. Could see a bit of a reaction as well. So certainly something to keep an eye out for. Clean Science and Technology has commenced commercial production of specialty products in a dedicated production block today. There are 2 drugs out there, or 2 chemicals out there. It became difficult to really figure out the pronunciation, so on and so forth. But since it's a dedicated production unit which has started production, might see a bit of a positive reaction. So keep an eye out for that as well. There could be some brokerage notes out there. I mean, there is the auto sales will be in focus as well, because you will probably see the auto sales numbers starting in tomorrow, or you will see auto sales numbers starting tomorrow, and therefore some of those might be in focus too. We'll talk about them tomorrow. So that's the other bucket you want to keep in mind ahead of day. But I'll leave you with this thought, viewers, as we end 2024, because what's happened thus far from COVID lows till 2024, and what might happen in 2025, and a glimpse of that seen in the last couple of months, that when market tailwinds are missing, stocks tend to go up less than they otherwise would. I think all of us are used to seeing stocks perk up 5%, 10% on an announcement, on a marquee investor buying, so on and so forth, because that's been the trend for the last 3-4 years. It may no longer be the case. It's not been the case for the last 1 month. It may no longer be the case. So please protect your hard-earned cash with you by betting judiciously. Don't just bet on every piece of news that comes out, because the texture of the market in the last 1 month and arguably in 2025, early 2025, is very different from what it has been in the last 2 or 3 or 4 years. Thanks so much for tuning in all through this year on the Trade Setup, and I look forward to talking to you every single day in 2025 as well. Much appreciate. Party hard. Wishing you a great last day of 2024.